As you look at those pictures, I think the thing that is very clear is that the classrooms that we have, and 20th century classrooms, were not constructed for the type of teaching and learning that's happening today. 20th century classrooms were created principally for one type of teaching, direct instruction, with the teacher in front of the room lecturing a group of students who sat quietly while the teacher spoke and only responded by raising a hand and answering a question that the teacher had or asking the teacher a question. The way we interact with our students today is very different from that. And direct instruction is just one of many strategies that teachers use to differentiate instruction. Not every child is going to benefit from that direct instruction, that lecture mode. You know, a large percentage of them are going to be gone after the first 5 minutes. You know, so what we're trying to do here, and you can see from the pictures already, before we even talk about new spaces, is we're trying to engage the students differently already. But you can see the limitations of doing that in the type of spaces we have. So what we're proposing here is to create new spaces that fully support the type of teaching and learning that's not going to happen 2-3 years from now when we move into a new space, but that's already happened here at the Academy. So let's take a look. Okay, you situate yourself. Here's MacDill. Okay, the soccer field, the softball field. Here's the gym and the pool. So right now, let's start on this side of MacDill. What we're proposing here, number 2, is a parking structure. One of the things, I hate for this to be the driver, but this is probably where we'll begin. One of the things that we're terribly short of here is parking. You know that when you come to an event during the day, if your child has some kind of program that you're here for, you have to scramble to find a parking space. Plus, our high school is growing and we have more students who want to drive. So we have to add parking. We don't have that much space. Our physical space is limited. So we're looking at the possibility of a parking structure that would be the ground level, one level up, and then a third level, if you would, that would have athletic courts on top of it. I'll show you how that'll work in a minute. Because one of the things that we lose here, a couple of things, we lose the track. Something has to go, unfortunately, and it would be the track. And we also have 2 outdoor basketball courts that our teams use during the season, so we certainly have to replace those. And we have to replace the tennis courts that are here, because this is where the Performing Arts Center is going to go. All right, so we'll show you how that works out in a little bit. Now, when we move across the campus, once this phase, and this is really phase 1A and 1B, once this is completed, then we'll turn our attention to this side of the campus. And you can see we're really talking about reimagining every part of the school. I'm going to get into the details of that later. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky when we get to this side, because this will all have to be phased in, and the work is going to have to be done during the summers. So the reason why this plan is going to take 6 or 7 years is because we just can't do as much as we'd like to, as quickly as we'd like to on this side. That just goes to show you that what we're proposing here is a comprehensive plan that will impact every student in the school. And we feel it will impact them in a positive way. Here we have a little bit more detail. You can see. Now, one thing I want to caution all of us about is this is a very, very preliminary plan. You know, this was done as a draft, if you will. So this could change and probably will change as we move through. But this just gives you a sense of where things would be. So this is the parking garage. And on the top of the garage, we'd have the 2 basketball courts, 3 tennis courts, and it would be screened on the outside. We haven't determined exactly how, but certainly we'd want to make it attractive and something that was acceptable to the neighbors who lived, you know, along here. And it could be that we do it in such a way that we preserve the architectural integrity that exists on this side of the campus. We could create a green wall that would screen the garage from the people over here. We have lots of different options that we're considering. But this, depending upon which architect you talk to, and it's kind of interesting, this could be anywhere between 130 and 200 parking spaces that we would add here on two levels. Now, we need to add quite a few because those of you familiar with the campus know that a good deal of the student parking is here, and we would lose that student parking when we put in the Arts Center. But we'd more than pick up what we lost and double or even triple depending upon how big we wind up constructing this. But we know that we need this. So this would be the first thing to happen. This would be the second. Again, this is a draft, this is a proposal, but just to show you what we're talking about in the Arts Center, we have a theater for 350 or so people, nice stage, backstage area, music classes, storage rooms, dressing rooms, this type of thing, art rooms, a little kitchenette here, just in case we decide to have receptions in here. Areas for students to work, areas to display student artwork. It would be a first-class facility. And it wouldn't be an auditorium, so to speak. It wouldn't be a place where we could hold all school assemblies. It's going to be a performance space. And you might be able to have some class assemblies there, but we're really looking to improve our performing arts program, particularly in the high school, to enhance what we already have, and we feel that this is going to help us do that. This would be a black box theater, which would be a second smaller theater for experimental shows, this type of thing, for drama classes to be held here. So it's a very nice area. And again, as the staff gets in and takes a look at this, we may make some changes, but this is generally what we're thinking about. So what this will enable us to do, once we have this done, is certainly to park more cars on campus, and then move pretty much our entire, or at least the vast majority of our art, music, drama for the middle school and the high school, and to some degree even the younger students into this space. All right? Now that frees up. So now we're going to move across the street. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's talk about a little bit of a timeline. If things go well, if we get the approvals we need, we could start the construction of the parking garage early next year. Okay, so maybe the end of January, let's say. And then what we'd like to do is to move seamlessly from the parking garage to the arts building and get both of those built. So we think that if the chips fall where we'd like them to, that we could get both those buildings built within the next couple of years. So 2 years from now, if things go as planned, we would turn our attention to this side of the building. Now, one of our goals is to create 3 separate identities for our lower school, our middle school, and our high school. And the first element to that plan to create 3 separate identities is to move the middle school into the Media Center building. So we would convert the Media Center building, the building that's across the courtyard, we'd convert it into these type of academic spaces. This would be the first floor. This would house the 5th and 6th grade. Now, without going into too much detail, what you have here is you have plenty of rooms that can be closed off for direct instruction, but they can also be opened up so that students, during class time, if they're working on projects, they're doing group work, they're doing collaborative work, they're working on their own, they could come out and they could use these spaces in addition to the spaces in the classroom. These rooms would open up, the teacher would have clear lines of vision to all these areas. This area here, I believe, number 4, would be an area where the, let's say this is the 5th grade side, where the 5th grade teachers congregated. This would be their office space. This would be the office space for the 6th grade teachers. So you'd have a presence, either the teachers are going to be out here with the students, or they'd be here. Students have access to a wide variety of learning spaces, of academic spaces. The second floor here would be the classroom, the academic area for the 7th and 8th grade. So our entire middle school, 5th through 8th, would be housed in this one building. That would be their home. We'd have an administrator in there, we'd have plenty of teachers in there, and be a nice place for them to live every day and learn. Now this space here, I'm going to come back to this at the end of the presentation, but one thing we're doing this summer is we're going to create a pilot. We're going to create a space with the type of furnishings, the type of technology that the entire school eventually will have. And we're calling it the Innovation Lab. We've selected 4 middle school teachers and 4 high school teachers to be Innovation Fellows. They are going to receive special training during the summer and throughout the year. And those 8 teachers are going to be the teachers who are going to use this room with their classroom, with their students next year. It's going to be a very exciting time, so that when people ask us, well, what do you mean by 21st century education? How does it look different from what I was accustomed to in school? We'll be able to take them to this space or show them videos of what goes on with this space that are going to be linked to our website. So this Innovation Lab, we're going to construct it this summer, and it's going to be a very exciting place for our middle schoolers and our high schoolers to visit with their teachers next year. We're very excited about that. Now, when the rest of the school is developed in this manner, we won't need an innovation lab because this type of innovative teaching and learning is going to be happening everywhere. So this then will become the middle school library. Now one of the things that this whole plan is contingent upon is decentralizing our library. We're not going to have one space that kids will go to. We're going to bring the resources closer to the students. So the middle schoolers will have their library here. The elementary students will have it close to them, and the high schoolers will have it close to them. There's really no reason to travel a long distance to go to a media center anymore because you have so much research at your disposal in your iPad or whatever. But the books that we do have, the fiction and other books, that'll be closer to where the kids are living day to day, so it'll be easier for them to utilize it, particularly the young ones. This is the room we're in. And now once we get once the Performing Arts Center is built, we won't need to use this for drama productions. So the rooms that are back here that are kind of dressing rooms and storage rooms, we're going to convert into 2 restrooms. When this building was built, there were no restrooms put in it. We're going to expand the serving area out here so we can fit more tables in the cafeteria area of the Brady Center. We're going to move it, we're going to expand the size of the kitchen so we'll be able to produce more food more quickly to feed our students. This is a relatively small change, but constructing the Performing Arts Center is going to allow us to make some small but fairly significant changes that will make this building much more user-friendly and usable for our students and teachers. One area, and it's not true that I was the model for this figure. They promised me they were going to take this guy out of there, but they left him in just because I think they think it's me. But at any rate, one of the things we're acutely aware of, particularly as we make some of the changes we're proposing to make, is that we want the history and the traditions that is such a big part of this school not only to remain, but to be visible. Now, if you look down here, this is the area we're talking about. It's the area between the lobby and the chapel. It's called the ambulatory. And right now it's just a narrow corridor, and it's really nothing more than a transition between lobby and chapel. But what we hope to do is to create a space where we can showcase the history of the school and the history of the Sisters in Tampa. We're going to bump out the walls, and we're going to create, as you can see here, display places so that we can get the artifacts and photos and other materials that we have in the archives. We can get them out of the archives, and we can display them in appropriate ways in this area, so that when alumni come back, when they have reunions or whatever, they can come back to this space, and it'll remind them of, you know, the days when the sisters were wearing their habits, and when they were sitting in rows in the classrooms, and then when they go upstairs, they'll pass out, and they can always come back, you know, to relive the old days. But I'm being a little bit facetious there, but this is an important part of what we're trying to do. We want to keep the history of the school alive, not only for alumni, but so our current students can see what this school has been and what it's meant in the Tampa community for so many years. All right. And that's just another example. Here's the lobby. You come in from the front door, you walk through to the chapel, and this is the type of expansion we're talking about, and the opportunity to create some really nice display spaces here for our history. All right, now let's get into the main building itself. You know, one of the things that people are constantly concerned about, and rightfully so, is school security. Well, one thing we're proposing is to move most of the students out of this first floor. This is the first floor of the main building. And every one of these spaces in blue is an administrative office. And you say to yourself, my God, why do they have so many administrators in this place? But it does take a lot of people to run a school like this. So the president's office, advancement, the conference room, the business office, marketing, admissions, elementary principal, the nurse's office, guidance, all of this is here. So we're going to try to move most of the, not all, but most of the adults down to the first floor. This will remove all the students, for the most part, from this area. Now, there are two exceptions to that. I mentioned earlier the elementary school library, and this is where it will be, on the first floor, and I'll show you where the elementary school children are going to be in a little while, because they're going to be moved. And this is a space that's referred to as a Da Vinci studio. It's a place where the little ones can go for special projects in art and science, and for them to see kind of the crossover and the interconnectivity of those two subjects. So we have an area for hands-on. It's a place where the kids can, you know, try all kinds of things at that elementary level and not have to do it in the classroom, but close enough to the classroom so it won't take the teacher long to get here. And the second floor, now, once you get up to the second floor, the second, third, and fourth floors of the main building are going to be the high school. Now, this is the second floor. Now, you can see, just as we had in the middle school, we have plenty of spaces that can be closed off for direct instruction. But then when students have the opportunity to do collaborative work, they can move out of these rooms and into these areas, okay, where they'll be able to work together, work with their laptops or whatever it is that they're doing. Teachers will be here. This is where their offices will be, so there'll always be an adult presence close by. So this is the second floor. Let's move up to 3 very quickly. Now, the third floor, this will be the high school library. Right here, we have a nice area here. We have outdoor seating for them here. Outdoor seating for them here. It's really going to be a really nice space. This is where the high school offices will be. So the assistant principal, the guidance people, and the various high school administrators and service people, they'll all be here. And then the rest, classrooms, and then up to the 4th floor, the same kind of a setup. Classrooms or academic spaces that can be opened up, spaces for collaboration, spaces for students to work with one another. Now, those of you who have younger kids who have been here while your younger kids were in the elementary know that the first floor of the south wing, that's right here. So this is the front, this is Bay Shore out here, this is the south wing. Currently, the first floor of this wing holds pre-K, K, and 1. Well, we're going to move the pre-K, K, and 1 out of there, and this is going to be a high school area on the first floor. And then let's move to the second floor. And the second floor, which is currently our science lab, will be totally redone and will include what the architect calls a math lab, what is really a STEM lab, where you have the integration of math, science, and technology. So we're looking to start a STEM program here. We're looking to create new spaces here. And then the elementary school playground, which is currently right here, will be moved to this side. So these high school teachers just can't wait for that to happen. Although there will be middle schoolers out here, and I'm not sure if that's better or worse. Because the middle school will be here, so if we situate ourselves, their recess place will be there. So the high school will be situated in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor of the main building, and in the south wing. That frees up the north wing for our elementary school. So you'd have pre-K, K, and 1 on the first floor. Now again, you have areas where the teachers can provide direct instruction and work with their students, you know, as an individual class. But you're also going to have options for teachers to work maybe with kids in another class. And so there'll be a lot more opportunities for collaboration and cooperation between teachers as they engage not only one another, but their children, their students. And so this way, if you remember, the Da Vinci Studio and the elementary school library were here. This is where those children will be situated, so it won't be that long a walk for them. So in the event of some type of crisis situation, we could easily lock down these 2 wings. If there are children in these rooms here, we could lock down those rooms. So I think we have a nice opportunity here by removing the students from the area where an intruder would most likely come to actually provide a safer environment for our children. There's no environment that is, you know, totally safe, but we do have our eyes on this, and we are acutely aware of what we would have to do. And then finally, on the 2nd floor, we would have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. We're on the 2nd floor. So the elementary school would be contained, and that's pre-K through 4 in the north wing, high school in the south wing in the main building, and the middle school here. So we've created 3 distinct identities and given every one of our students a new and exciting place to be, to learn, and for our teachers to teach. This is the innovation lab I was talking to you about. And just so you have an idea, this is the furniture layout. This is the only slide I had to show you. But just to show you that there are going to be different types of seating, where students, a collaborative table where they can work together. Another one here. There'll be a ceiling mounted projector here, 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 and here. There'll be 5 of them with the computers attached, just as we have them in the Collab Lab now. So there's a great deal of technology now. We are eventually going to transition from the iPads to MacBooks. Our tech guys feel that the iPads, while they were a good transitional device for us, the iPads just don't do all the things that our kids need, particularly the high school and middle school kids. So we're going to transition, not this coming year, because we have one more year of the iPad lease. But in school year 15-16, we're going to transition to MacBook Airs. Now, next year, to give these teachers a jump on that, we're going to give the 8 Innovation Fellows a MacBook. And we're going to have 25 MacBooks in this room. So when the students come into this innovation lab, not only will they have access to the computers and the projectors and that type of thing, but they'll have access to these iPads. So we'll be not the iPads, the MacBooks. So we'll be introducing a large number of our middle school and high school kids to the MacBooks a year before each one of them is going to have one. Now, the reason why this is an innovation lab, though, is not because of the technology that's in it, but because of the type of teaching that's going to happen in this space. It'll be a different way to engage our students, to give them opportunities not to have to sit on the floor or in corners or under bookcases when they're doing collaborative work, but in spaces that are appropriate for that type of interaction. All right? So that's where we are. That's the plan. There are 2 phases. Phase 1 is the work that's going to happen across the street. That will happen first. The parking garage and the Performing Arts Center. And then phase 2, which will take place over a series of summers, will be the transformation of this side of the campus. It's a bold plan. It's not going to be an inexpensive plan. But based upon the research we've done, based upon the conversations we've had, we think this is what we need to do to keep up. Now, that's the last thing I want to say to you, and then I'm going to open up for questions. We're not the only school in the United States doing this. When you talk to educators throughout the country, throughout the world, this transition is already happening. And for those of you who are my age, or maybe a little bit younger, you say, well, this reminds me of the open classrooms back in the 1970s. The difference is this. When school systems went over to an open classroom setup, they just did it almost overnight. There was very little in-service training for their teachers. Their teachers were not prepared to teach in this new environment. One of many things that we've learned since then is that before you make a significant and major and substantive change like the one we're proposing, we have to work with our teachers. And as you can see, and hopefully as you experience when you talk to your children, this type of transition is already beginning. What we're proposing here with the building is only going to enhance what's already happening and make it possible to do it much, much better, much more effectively for the teachers and for the students as well as we move further into the 21st century. You know, we keep talking about 21st century education. Well, we're 14 years into it. It's about time we do something about it.